Welcome back to my channel. Just want to make this quick-ish. Anyway, so obviously on this reflective journey, being more intentional and yada yada yada, I noticed, patterns, stuff like that. So one of the things, I used to wonder, why did all of my friendships usually take 1 or 2 courses, and it would usually end with a real bad, falling out, and no chance for, repair after the big falling out. And I'm not saying this is true for every friend that I've had in the past, but I do believe that people thought I was a mark or weak, or someone that would consume my whole life with them. People assume that because I was very caring and it appeared that, which there is some truth to, that I didn't really have a good support system, specifically with my family, and I chose to be alone. But that did not mean that I was going to be allowing people to walk all over me. And I noticed whenever I showed that I had self-esteem, or I made it be very known that I wasn't going to be tolerating certain behaviors from people, these people that were so-called my friend, they would pretty much try to dissuade me from speaking on things, or try to tell me what I was thinking about my life, or the patterns that I was noticing weren't right, or they would just say something really flat out mean and very rude to pretty much put me in my place, to let me know you're not all that. So anyway, I just want to share a couple of incidents that I was thinking about as I was thinking about this pattern. So I had this friend that I met when I was working at Red Lobster, and he was real wishy-washy, and I ended up stop being his friend because I just didn't like the fact that he wasn't supportive I was supportive of him. And he was one of the people that expected me to respond. If he had some type of request, I was gonna do it or whatever. No. I will respond when I'm ready to, and I will get to what I need to get to when I am able to. But if I'm busy or I got something to do, I am putting that first. So anyway, he was asking me, did I know one of his friends? Now, I knew of the guy, but I didn't know him. I never had a conversation with him. I remember seeing him in passing, at events, but I never even hung around him in a mutual setting, I went somewhere for someone's birthday and he was there. There was never that. So he was asking me oh, do you know such and such? And I was no, I don't know him. And he was oh, well, he told me that he knew you. I was well, I don't know him, we never talked. And so he responds with, well, you act like you all that. And he wouldn't have to lie about knowing you. He wouldn't have to say that, you know. And I'm like, okay, like, what the fuck is you talking about? Like, I don't know, like, that shit was just mad weird. And then there was this situation. Because he was phony. So there was this girl, she caught herself disliking me because of a guy, you know, a guy that she wasn't even in a relationship with, whatever. Anyway, she decided, like most people do, you know, oh, I'm gonna mess with you, or I'm gonna gather up some friends and we're gonna go around to people that you know and we're gonna talk about you and plant bad stories about you and, you know, whatever. So she went around to all people that, like, I went to college with, or anybody that she saw, because she was stalking my social media, that she saw that I was interacting with. All of a sudden, you know, people was like, oh, such and such is, you know, they're going around talking about they want to jump you, and, you know, they're talking about they want to fight you. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Anyway, so obviously he was cool with her or whatever. And so I was talking about the situation with him, about her, and how it was, like, really annoying. Because, again, me and this girl, we did not know each other. We never went to school together. We had no mutual friends. She literally started making up all sorts of lies, saying that I was talking about her. And it's like, it was so retarded. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, like, who is this fucking girl? And it's always the same thing. So, you know, so I was telling him about it. And he was like, well, you act like you weren't talking about her. And I was like, if somebody is talking shit about me, like, yes, I'm going to say something back to them. Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you're talking about me, you keep on. Like, yes, I have the fucking right to respond. But anyway, needless to say, I had stopped talking to him. Anyway, one time I was starting my MySpace, and at that time I wanted it to be private. I had no reason why. Like, I wasn't thinking like, oh, somebody's looking at my page, stalking it. Like, I didn't have that type of worry at the time. Like, I'm not full of myself. But I just wanted it to be private because I am from the mindset that the internet is dangerous. And I still think that, you know, if you're not careful, you know, you could be in danger, you know, whatever. So that was one of the main things. And so I was at my brother's apartment, and my ex-boyfriend, one of my ex-boyfriends over there. And so I did the settings, and I just set it to private. And so he gonna say, for no reason, like, we hadn't argued. Like I said, I didn't say anything about why I wanted it private. I didn't even say anything about the whole safety aspect. It was just my preference, and I just did it. And he's like, oh, well, you act like, you know, you're so important. Don't nobody care about your social media page. And I just was so taken aback. Like, I didn't even know what to say. So I didn't even say anything. Because I'm just like, what am I supposed to say to that? Like, why would you say something like that? You know, and so obviously as I get older and I see that pattern, I'm like, that's very interesting. What else? My relatives. So my relatives, whenever, you know, I had some confidence, or, you know, whenever I had confidence, I just didn't display it. I didn't know how to show it. And I felt uncomfortable showing people that I knew how to do things, even though a lot of things I knew how to do. It just was, I don't know, like it was just anxiety and just a lot of things going on. And, you know, obviously my relatives and people around me were trying to destroy my self-esteem, my identity, and trying to put labels and personality traits on me that were not, the case, that weren't true. It was just, you either knew my mother, you knew my father, or you're just a person thinking that I'm very weak, or because you don't see me with a whole bunch of people, like you feel like you could come over here and start doing some shit to me. And when I let you know that this isn't that type of party, then now people haven't, got to try to put me down, try to put me in my place, or start some shit, or try to resort to physical violence. So anyway, this ex-boyfriend of mine, I was having this issue, and all these beefs I've had with people, it's always because of someone else. It's like it's always someone else's shit boundaries or their beef that I have to inherit, and that's why, when I stopped talking to a lot of people, I didn't really care, because it's like, you didn't bring me nothing to my life. You couldn't even bring me peace. You weren't funny. You weren't open-minded. You couldn't teach me shit. You weren't interested in learning shit, like, whatever. Like, I'm not losing nothing from talking to any of you people. So anyway, I was having this problem with this girl. She was going around spreading rumors. Bitches love doing that. They always try to, attack my image or attack my whatever. And it's like, you can spread all the rumors that you want, but it's like, that shit's not gonna stick. And if you believe it and you come around me and, whatever, you will look stupid. And so many people have tried to act shitty towards me or act some type of funny, weird way with me, and then years later want to sit up and talk about, oh, I wish we could have got to know each other when, we were here, or I wish we could have got to know each other when we were there. And it's like, no, you were being a weird ass bitch, or a weird ass. And when I say a weird ass bitch, I'm talking about men and women, because men, everybody get called a bitch my way, man or a woman. You will get called a bitch. So you being a weird ass bitch, you believe in whoever the fuck you want to believe, or you have an ego problem and you misjudging, and no, fuck you. How you were is how it is. You a weak ass bitch, and you can always be that. Anyway, and so anyway, this girl, she was going around spreading rumors about me or whatever, and so during the time that she was actively spreading rumors, I had asked her several times. I was like, do you want to fight? Because that's what I wanted to do. Because she just kept talking shit, and I'm like, well, I really don't want to fight during my senior year, but I guess. And so I asked her 2 or 3 times, do you want to fight? And she always said, no, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. And then I would just tell her, well, then you need to be quiet. If you don't want to fight, that's not the main goal of you talking shit, and you just talking shit to talk shit. You need to shut the fuck up. That's just where I was at in general with any woman. I just don't understand that whole, oh, I don't like you or something like that, because I'm not hood or nothing or have all this fighting experience, but I will fight. And that's not to say I'm gonna always win, but I mean, I'm not afraid to get active or whatever. But every time I've asked someone, like, so is it a fight that you want? And they're always so cowardly, like, no, that's not it. Then what the fuck is you talking about? Like, I just don't get it in my mind. Like, what's the point of having beef with somebody if you don't want to fight them? Like, I don't know. Because I'm not a weak ass bitch. I don't get it. I don't get that weak ass shit. But anyway, so one day we were riding in his car, and my ex-boyfriend, he had this really bad habit of putting me down. Because again, he was one of them people who thought, because I didn't have a good family system, he felt, oh, I'm the only person supporting her, so she's always gonna be up under my thumb. Oh, I took her virginity, and so she's always gonna be like, no. Like, you learned real quick that I'll drop your ass. And he was one of them ones, the guys that be like, the breakup came out of nowhere. And it's like, no, it didn't. I let you know for months on end, I was sick of your ass. I let you know for months on end, this is how I expect to be treated. And you didn't do that. You felt like it was an option. You felt however you felt. And, I had to show your ass better than I could tell you. And wasn't interested in spinning the block. Once it was over, it was over. It wouldn't know, oh, maybe, or, oh, we're going to get, like, no, I was done. Like, I'm not that ex that's going to keep at it with a guy. Like, fuck you. Once it's done, it's done. I'm not going to be that toxic ex or somebody you go crawling back to. Oh, well, that's my thing. And I know, fuck you. We're done. So he decided to say, well, we were driving. We hadn't been in an argument. This is unprovoked. No issues. He was just coming to pick me up from school. I was at Yeovil Plan. He was coming to pick me up from school and take me back home. And he was just like, oh, such and such didn't want to fight you because she was going to embarrass you and all this other stuff. And because you weak or something like that, she was going to beat you up. And again, I didn't say anything because I'm just like caught off guard. And I'm like, what is the point of you saying this type of stuff? Like, I guess. And so I talked about it with another friend, because obviously it had bothered me. But anyway, it wasn't long after that I left that relationship. But my relatives. So when I was pregnant with my oldest son thought, my family, it was a very vulnerable time for me. So of course they had to kick me while I'm down because that's their fashion. That's that pattern, that's just is what it is. And so, my relatives were making up all kinds of things, oh, you're going to end up like your mom, yada, yada, yada. Although I'm 25, I already have 2 degrees before my son is born, already in my career because my education is my career. That's the start of it. And I've already worked multiple jobs in this field. I've been rehired at one of the jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I have proven that I am competent and that I've made the right decision. In getting the education that I did and doing what I had to do. And so, no, it was not ideal to be pregnant during grad school, but it just was like, it is what it is. Like, I'll have my degree before my son is born, and that's just that. I know that I can get a job I'm already working, so whatever. I'm in a relationship with my son's father. He's working, he has degrees, so I'm not sure. We had transportation, we had a home for our son. I'm not really sure, what the issue was with my relatives, and I did not ask them for anything. I did not expect anything from them. I did not even expect for them my sister and my cousin to throw me a baby shower, to think that they could further control me because they threw me a baby shower. I didn't ask y'all to do that. I didn't ask y'all for nothing. I did not ask who was going to babysit. I did not expect that from y'all. I did not expect anything from y'all. But that don't mean that you have to disrespect me. I didn't ask or need anything from y'all. And so my aunt, she was bullying me the whole time, talking shit, just being a bitch. And after a while, I got tired of it. And after trying to talk to my aunt face to face like an adult, I stopped talking to her completely, and I started talking about her and my experience with her and with other people who were disrespecting me while I was pregnant. Because it wasn't just my relatives. It was the people that I was working with at Red Lobster. It was the people at my field placement, at Catholic Charities in Flint, Michigan. It was a lot of people that I grew up with, people projecting onto me, all of that, even so-called friends. I cut off so many people after I had my son. It was a wrap. And so, my aunt, she was talking shit or whatever. So anyway, she disrespected the fuck out of me or whatever. And, I was talking about it on social media because, I felt like she had a lot of support, and honestly, I wanted some get back, and I wanted her to be accountable. So if you're not going to be accountable to me the correct way, then it's time for me to be a narcissist, engage in some low frequency behavior to get back at you. And I don't care. I don't care about stepping down and making people feel my wrath. It just is what it is. I get tired of people's shit. So anyway, so my family, after my family had disrespected me at the birth of my son, that was when I definitely decided, I'm cutting y'all ass off. And then a few months later, that's when I moved from Michigan without telling them where I was going or even telling them that I was leaving. And so I was lighting her ass up. I said that she ain't never created nothing. I called out the fact that she don't have no education. I called out the fact that she is a child abuser herself. I called out the fact that my family was abusive. I just called it all out, put it all out there, because I was fed the fuck up with my relatives, and their bullshit. You're not gonna sit up here and make me feel crazy, you treating me fucked up, and then you're gonna sit up and try to gaslight me. I'm not buying that shit. And they were so upset at the fact that I was not allowing them to disregard what I knew was a fucking fact. You're not gonna sit up and make me feel like I'm crazy or I'm tripping. I'm not letting you. That's not about to happen. So, it is what it is. And so my cousin, she decides to try to put me in my place, quote unquote. And so she's commented on the status talking about, oh, well, I'm surprised you had the time to write this, seeing as how you just had a baby. bitch, don't worry about my motherfucking time management. And I just had a baby and they sleep, what, how many hours a motherfucking day? So yes, I have the fucking time to write this. I wasn't working at the time. I'm on maternity leave. I'm in the hospital still because I had a traumatic birth and it was very painful. So yeah, I got all the motherfucking time in the world to talk about you motherfuckers. And I'm finna use that shit. So anyway, you know, so she, what that bitch say? So anyway, you know, she's pretty much saying that we're a family and we don't need to be putting our family business out there, yada, 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 or whatever. And so, she also texts me or whatever, and because she was mad because somebody was defending me. And so I told her, I was like, what do you expect me to do? You know, like, she is disrespecting me for no reason. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, she's wrong. And then she's like, oh, well, I don't want to get into y'all's business. Don't put me in that drama. I'm just saying that that's not appropriate to write on. So I'm like, no, bitch, how the fuck you gonna have an opinion on the drama but then say, oh, I'm not in it? No, bitch, you in it. You put yourself right into some shit that I didn't call and ask you for support for. When y'all were agreeing with, and when I heard that all of y'all were sitting up on the phone talking about what is she gonna do with the baby, you know what I'm saying? I knew all of y'all were my fucking enemy, and I knew all y'all was talking shit about me. And of course, y'all not gonna support me because this is how all of y'all think, bitch. So I didn't ask you for shit. I didn't ask you about it. I didn't come and tell you about it. So you put yourself in it. But anyway, that's why, you know, one of the reasons why I don't talk to them anymore. But yeah, just said all that to say, you know, people, they always like to target those who are quiet, those who they see don't have a lot of people around them. Most people are pussy, coward. They always want to find somebody to trample over, to have control over, and then they want to perform for those who they want validation from. My ex-boyfriend, he developed many personalities, you know, never his own type of person. And then he tried to make me feel bad for being myself and liking the things that I liked and, you know, doing the things that I did. And it's like, motherfucker, you don't even know yourself, and you are supposed to be a man. And that is really fucking scary for you to be trying to be a man, being a male species, trying to compete for other men's attention, trying to take on the personality of other men. Like, that's real pussy of you. I'm not gonna say gay, but you a pussy and a punk, you know. And that is the worst thing that you can fucking be, is a motherfucker without an identity, without fucking values, without an internal system to where no matter what's going on around you or what you gotta be, you're not deviating from this. But yeah, he was just a weak ass bitch. And, you know, he thought that I was weak like him, but he had learned very quickly that I wasn't. And my family, they're just some weak ass people anyway, because, you know, our family, you know, is just filled with people who are traumatized and, you know, have had fucked up lives and stuff like that. And, you know, they just need somebody to put their bullshit off on. And I got tired of my relative designating me to be the one that's absorbing all their bullshit because I don't have a mama or a daddy, and there's nobody to hold them accountable for causing fucking harm to me. And I'm over it. I was over it. And, they designated that role for my mother and turned her to how she was: co-occurring mental health, substance abuse, schizophrenia, poly substance abuse, multiple mental health diagnoses, and all this other shit. So traumatized, so fucking depressed. And, that's not gonna be me. I'm not, I'm just not gonna take it. And yeah.